Hello and welcome to Sports Update on Trust TV. I am Emmanuel Fashimi. We have a lot of stories making the rounds in the world of sports, and we'll begin from the home front, where the sports minister paid a visit to the Sports Hall of Fame. And when we say the Sports Hall of Fame, Nigerian Sports Hall of Fame, where we have our past heroes and heroines when it comes to sports in Nigeria, where their names are being placed, where their pictures, their placards, their images is just like a museum where we have all our past athletes, past and present, that are still doing well in sports, where they have their name engraved in that particular building. And for the minister, he paid a visit to that place, and this was put together in 2019. And from the sports minister right now, he is doing everything he can to see how we can have a very, very viable and good sporting atmosphere in Nigeria, in Africa, and in the world. These are some of the steps he has been taking since he came on board. Some time ago, he went for the facility tours at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium and that of Lagos, where renovation is going on. And because of his visit, that of Lagos was speed up, and some part of that stadium has been brought back to life. And now on Thursday, that was yesterday, he visited the Sports Hall of Fame. Now I have Olawale Peters on the show this evening joining me. Now Olawale Peters, the sports minister, paid a visit to the Sports Hall of Fame, where we have all our past heroes, past and present, where we have their names, their pictures, everything, their records. It's just like a museum, like a library where you go to get information.
Okay, thank you, Emmanuel, for having me. To be honest with you, I think it's a good development. It's a good thing, but we need to go beyond this. After looking at the pictures inside that Hall of Fame or the museum, if you get back to his office, he should dig further, ask himself and his ministry, what have they done for all these heroes that are falling? The case of Rashidi Yekini, the first player to score for us at the World Cup. Still, the highest goal scorer for the Super Eagles. What did he do when he was in need of their support? When he died, what did they do for his family? Late Stephen Keshi, that won us
the Nations Cup.
He won it as a player
and as a coach.
And as a coach, what did we do, or what have we done to immortalize his name? Philip Osondu.
The great Philip Osondu.
We can continue to call
Samuel
Okwaraji. I recall vividly then, 1989, when we were playing the qualifier for World Cup. He wasn't feeling fine, but it's like a duty band that I must do what? Played for my country to make sure that we qualify for the first World Cup in preparation for Italian 90 against Cameroon. He died, he collapsed. What has been done to immortalize him? What are they been doing for his family? This is someone that died in active service.
Right there on the pitch.
Yes, right there on the pitch at Surulere in Lagos. So this is something that after he left the Hall of Fame or this museum, because I'm very sure their pictures will all be there.
Yes, of course.
Now, it should now come out with a policy, a program that will compensate them and will also assure the future for those who are ready to do the same thing or more than that for the country. We need to have that in place for them.
Okay.
We need to have it in place for them.
We need to have that in place for them. We shouldn't just immortalize these guys. We should go beyond that. We should look how we can help their families. I remember the late coach Yemi Tella with the under-17. Fantastic coach against Spain. We played final against Spain. And at the end of the day, we lifted that trophy. The likes of David De Gea was in that squad. For Spain, we have our own, the likes of Hernandez Nacho in Real Madrid in that squad. We have a lot, and then our own Kabiru Akisola, Christantus Macaulay, Ajiboye, who is playing where they played 2 United sometimes ago. A lot of them. But for Coach Emitela, he also died in active service after that competition. Just it was not too long and he passed on. So the ministers should look at what they can do for their families and make sure this guy's name don't just go like that. It's a good one for visiting that place, and then he should go back to his office, like Olawale Peter said, and ask himself question and maybe constitute a body, a committee that will look inward and what they can actually do to keep this guy's name in our lips. Okay, let's leave the Hall of Fame with the sports minister now and go straight to the Women's League, that is the NWFL, where the kickoff date for the NWFL 2023-2024 league season has been confirmed. November 15 precisely is the kickoff date, and we'll have 16 teams that will be slugging it out in the 2023-2024 league season. 16 teams, and we'll have the newly promoted Ekiti Queens and the other promoted team of Shu Queens in there to make it 16 teams that will participate, and it has been splitted into 2 groups, Group A and B. Olawale Peters, now the AGM was held on Thursday right there in Lagos. It actually coincided with the farewell, let me say party, or farewell, as in party for the outgoing or the outgone women chairperson of the NWFL, that is Aisha Falode, who has been there for quite a number of years. Now Nkechi Obi is at the helm of affairs. But now we have 16 teams to play in the 2023-2024 league season. November 15th has been set aside as kickoff date. Is this sacrosanct?
Okay, I know you're going to ask that question. Is this sacrosanct? Because when the Nigerian Premier Football League also...
because we are synonymous to
change. So I think we should have belief and trust in them. I'm sure they've put everything in order. They've ticked all the boxes before they came up with the time that they want us to start, which will be in November. Not like the Nigerian Premier and Football League that they are just saying in the next 2 weeks, in the next
we'll start.
No, you don't need to rush into taking such a decision. It requires adequate planning, and you have to also put into consideration the FIFA calendar for all the footballers also. You know, you have your own break, you have when you're supposed to start. We are starting late. That's the truth, but it's not over until it is over. And dividing them into 2 groups also, I think it will give them an avenue to really watch and structure the matches very well. Apart from that, I think there's also need to give more attention
to the Women's League.
To the Women's League. Honestly, if you watch the Women's League in Europe, you'll be asking yourself that can we even get this crowd if you are playing our own
women's,
no, not even women's league, men's league in the country. How many people go to the stadium to watch
the Women's Champions League final alone?
So what we need to do is to give it more attention, to give it more awareness. And how can we do it? We'll continue to tell the government they really need to see sport as business and look at it as a means that can contribute to the economic development of this country. It's not something that you just leave in the hand of few individuals. Now, what support is it coming to the Nigerian Women and Football League? What support are they getting financially? Like the Nigerian Premier Football League, they are getting. So it's like they are always being neglected. How many of us normally go out there to even watch
the Women's League? We are few.
Very few of us go there to watch it. If you don't watch it, you won't understand what they are going through, so you won't know where you need to come in. I think it's a very good one, and Aisha Falode, she has laid the foundation with a vast experience, and I'm sure the new chairperson, Nkechi, that took over also, will start from where Aisha stopped and look at a way to bring in our own expertise to improve on the game. I think it's a very good one. Let's see how it goes. But let's give them the benefit of doubt. Don't let us look at what has happened at
the male side.
The male side, that the same thing will happen. Because the female, take it or leave it, they are doing everything better than the male. And when it comes to organizing,
I think they are better.
They are far better than most men.
Okay, let's have the groups, the groupings. We have Group A and B. Now we have in Group A, Confluence Queens of Kogi. We have Nasarawa Amazons of Nasarawa State. We have Nigeria Tes of Abuja, that is Abuja team. We have Abia Angels of Abia State. We have Dana's Ladies. We have Royal Queens of Oshun. We have Adamawa Queens of Adamawa State. We have Heartland Queens of Uwiri, that is Imo State. And then in Group B, former champions, we have Bayelsa Queens in Group B. We have Delta Queens, also present defending champion in Group B. We have FC Robo Queens of Lagos. We have Edo Queens. We have Rivers Angels. We have Sunshine Queens, the newly promoted team. We have Lakeside Remo Queens of Ikene, that is in Ogun State, and then we have Ekiti Queens, another newly promoted teams. But this grouping, look at Group B. It's not as if all the strong teams are in Group B. Bayelsa Queens, Delta Queens, Edo Queens, Rivers Angels, and even Sunshine Queens that got newly promoted. They are not pushovers. But if you look at the Group A, okay, maybe it's the North and the Southern teams, that is, but it's not like that. It's not what I'm saying. Confluence Queens of Kogi, Nasarawa, that is North Central, Nigeria Tes, Abuja, North Central, Abia Angels from the East, Royal Queens from the Southwest, Adamawa Queens, Heartlands from the East. But Group B, I think Group B is the toughest group.
Yeah, it's very obvious. Group B is the toughest group, and we don't know the reason why the organizer did it that way. Probably because of the proximity or geographical location of each of the team to one another, so that in terms of traveling or playing matches, we all know the issue of the welfare, the money issue, financial status. So they don't want that to really affect them. Maybe that is why they group it this way. That would be the only excuse I can give them. If not, I don't see any reason why you're going to have the likes of Bayelsa Queen, Delta Queen, FC Robo, Edo Queen, River Angels, and the same group. And look at other Nigeria Tes, Abia Angels, Royal Queens. It's like group of dead versus group of sleeping. That's the way you look at, but I'm sure there's a great motive, a good motive behind them, behind this grouping. Okay, a good motive behind that grouping is a Group B. That is where we have the toughest teams in the women's league. Okay, let's leave the NWFL and go straight to Cairo, and now we'll stop by in CAF headquarters in Cairo, Egypt, where CAF has commended Morocco. Morocco now is now becoming a hub or a center where global competitions normally come to. They hosted the World, that is a FIFA Club World Cup of recent. They've hosted the CAF Women's, that's the CAF Women's African Cup of Nations. They've held the CAF Champions League. A lot of competitions in Morocco, and now CAF have commended Morocco for becoming a World Cup host. The second time African country will be hosting the World Cup. The first one was South Africa, and now Morocco, though a joint host with Spain, Portugal. Okay, this is highly commendable, and it's the spirit of I will not let go that we have in Africa. Because if you look at Morocco, they have the record of the country that have bidded most to host the World Cup. They have a spirit of, I can do it, and I will not let it go. They started this bidding since 1994. They bidded with USA. And USA beat them to it. 1994. And they only lost with 3 votes in 1994. But they didn't sleep on it. 1998 also, they bidded again against France. They lost. That's the second time. The third time was in 2006. That was in Germany. They lost. They didn't look at it that, man, come on, I'm tired. But no, they have their target. The target is, I must host it. So the first time was in 2010, when the issue of, okay, rotation comes in, and they said, okay, we are bringing it to Africa. Almost everybody thought, now, myself, I was even thinking, because I didn't expect South Africa. So everybody thought, okay, it's going to be the time for Morocco to really win it, because they've bidded 3 times before the time. But we saw what happened. The case of bribery, in which Jack Warner and Gaza also, they came out and confessed that they were giving money to vote for South Africa against Morocco. So they lost that.
And it was a painful one.
Very, very painful one for the 4th time. But still, they did not give up. They still bidded for the 2030 that USA, Mexico, and Canada, the won.
That is 2026.
2026. They lost again. They said, no, we're not going to sleep over it. We're going to come back on it this time around. Now let's look at, since they are taking it to 3 different countries. Who is our next neighbor? Spain and Portugal. Unfortunately, these are the same 2 teams that they defeated at the last World Cup in Qatar, both at the round of 16 and the quarterfinal. But geographically, they are very close to each other. Very, very close to each other. So it will even be a fun to have the competition in 2 continents, in Europe and in Africa. So they went to Spain and FA, and the same thing with
Portugal.
Portugal also. Okay, we are very close. Let's bring our resources together and let's bid for this. And they did, and they won it. I love that never die spirit. So it's something that should always motivate us, that if you believe in a cause, you believe in something that I can do this and I have what it takes to do it, go for it all out. So they deserve the commendation, honestly, and to be sincere with you. And they have what it takes to host the World Cup. Currently now, they are the only African country that have 6 approved FIFA stadium.
Yes, standard.
As in standard, 6 approved. And we are still talking about the World Cup that is coming up in 2030. We still have about 6 or 7
years to go, and they will build more.
They'll still do more. So I think they really, really deserve it also. So that's why I'm not really bothered when they won the hosting rights of the AFCON for 2025. So it's going to be like a build-up, a preparation for the World Cup 2030. They deserve it, a very good one for them.
I think they deserve it, a very good one for Morocco. That of 2010 was a painful one. I didn't expect South Africa to win that hosting bid in 2010, but eventually they were given that opportunity to host that South Africa. For Morocco, it's actually not a good one. But like Olawale said, the never say never attitude, never back down. They kept on coming, and this time around they are smiling. 2030 will be the turn of Morocco, Portugal, and Spain to host the World Cup. The World Cup will be played in 6 countries. It will also go to CONMEBOL. It will go to Uruguay, where all of the World Cup fever started from. That is in Uruguay. The centenary, they tagged it Centenary World Cup in 2030. We also have games in Uruguay, in Paraguay, Argentina. These 3 countries will also feature some World Cup games in 2030. Okay, so let's leave the CAF now and go straight to Europe. We'll be stopping by in Syria, Italy, and now an advice. Patients, they call it. They say the patient, the way they, in our own saying, the patient don't eat the fattest bone. But now Taribo West has said, okay, has thrown his weight behind AC Milan new signing. That is Nigerian Super Eagles winger Samuel Chukwueze to succeed in AC Milan. Now he's giving him his full backing at AC Milan.
Okay, being a former player of AC Milan, you understand the culture, the tradition, and what the club really needs. Maybe that is why he's giving him the advice that what you need to do is just to do what? Try as much as possible to have the patience. But to be sincere with you, I disagree with that. Our normal, our say that the
patient dog in the fattest bone.
Honestly, we have some street dog now. They will just grab it from you, and before you know it, you are losing it. If after a season, he did not discover himself as the winger that we know him to be, sincerely, the age is not on his side, and nobody will be waiting for him to pick form before they can recognize him. You should just look for a league and a club that will have more playing time. That is very, very important in the life of a player. You must go to a team that suits your playing pattern and that you have more playing time. But because the more you play, the more better and the more improved you become in the future. So you shouldn't just like, oh, let me be patient and stay there for 2, 3, 4 years. Nobody has that time again. So if after a season, you assess yourself, because there's something they call self-assessment. Don't need to allow any media or anybody to overbloat you. You yourself, you know your capacity, you know how good you are. You played in the season and you didn't score more than 2 goals, you didn't make more than 4 assists, and you didn't have playing time more than, let me say, 12 or 15 times, and they're telling you to be patient and stay there. And they are signing in wingers
in transfer window.
You'll be subject to
bench
to requirement, not even bench again. Before you know, they tell you to go and play with the feeder team. You don't want to play with the feeder team again. They send you on loan to somewhere else. Yes, it should be patient, but the time is not really on his side. A season is enough for him to assess himself, to know if he has a future with them or he doesn't have a future in them, and go to a place where he can look at Taiwo Awoniyi, for example. Look at what he's doing with Nottingham Forest. He's doing very. Look at Boniface also. Victor Boniface. So what they need to do is to learn from those players what they do, go to a club that you be a king. They will need your service, you have more playing time, and your future will be prosper. I think that's what you need.
Your future will be guaranteed. He has only started 2 times under Stefano Pioli in AC Milan this season. But for Samuel Chukwueze, he needs to up his game and hit it running. The best player, African player in La Liga last season. Okay, before we go on the show, let's quickly take some fixtures that will be played tonight as we speak. A game is ongoing in the Italian Serie A. Okay, we'll have a game in La Liga. Athletic Bilbao against Almeria. Mönchengladbach against Mainz 05, that is Bundesliga, and Empoli against Udinese is currently ongoing in the Italian Serie A, and later on we have Lecce against Sassuolo, and then in French Ligue 1, Strasbourg will be at home against Moses Simon's team, that is Moses Simon of Super Eagles Nantes. All these games will be going on tonight. You can definitely go out there and have some fun and catch some sights, some glimpses of these encounters in the European top leagues. Okay, that is where we'll leave it on Sports Update. Olawale Peters, thanks for joining me on the show this evening.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel. It's my pleasure being here all the time.
Okay, I love your cap. All right.
Thank God it's Friday.
That is it on the show this evening. I am Emmanuel Fashemi. Thanks for watching.